Hi, my name is Nina. I'm 16.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm 16.
My name is Gage. I'm 17.
Growing up, I'd freak out over everything. I would step on a crack in the sidewalk. Panic. I would brush shoulders with a stranger on the streets. Panic. I would step up on the stage during fifth grade graduation and shake my principal's hand in front of everyone. Absolute panic. You see, growing up, I had this best friend who I realized I was nothing alike. Because unlike me, she seemed to worry about nothing. She was carefree, only ever focusing on the present. I wanted to be just like her, as I'm sure most of us do. You'll notice that when you're not yet sure of yourself, constantly looking around and wondering when it'll be your turn to have the same confidence as the next person, confidence will not come to you. But when you stop caring, everything seems to fall into place. And you might be thinking, well, if I'm not thinking or caring about this, how will I know that it's happening? Today, I will be teaching you about identity management, specifically perceived versus presenting self, and how it can impact one's self-confidence. Now, you might be thinking identity management is pretty self-explanatory. It's just managing one's identity. And while that's objectively true, there's still a lot more to it. In our class, we have an essential communications textbook, and by definition, identity management is the communication strategies people use to influence how others view them. Framework is a big part of this. Framework is essentially the act of attempting to have other people view you a certain way, and vice versa. This could be through complimenting someone's appearance or perhaps hyping up your job. You see, I used to hang out with some mutual friends, wanting to expand my circle, and upon learning about Facebook and identity management, I would act more confident. I would not let them know how I was internally freaking out over talking to new people. And after a while, I started to believe maybe that confidence was internal, and that thought was very refreshing. This is also a great example of your presenting self, which by definition is a public image, the way you want to appear to others. It's almost like you're creating a socially approved image of yourself, almost like a Rubik's Cube. You shift it around until you have your desired combination. While warping perceptions, it's almost as if you're creating a recipe. Like I wanted to appear confident, funny, sarcastic, trustworthy. Someone I wanted to be, and someone who I could see myself spending time with. Here's a tip though. If you want people to see you a certain way, make sure to not overdo it. Straying too far away from your true self could cause you to lose your sense of self. And it can be very confusing. Perceived and presenting selves are polar opposites in most cases. Straying too far away from yourself, again, can cause confusion, so you have to stay true to yourself. Fake it until you make it is a very popular term I'm sure most of you are aware of. However, faking it too much can lead you to become a fake person. Now, perceived self is the person you believe yourself to be. Think of yourself as a tiny planet amidst a wide universe, depending on your own ecosystem. Now, your perceived self would be your private self, and your presenting self would be your public self. Say you're looking in the mirror, and you tell yourself, hey, I look pretty great today. That is your perceived self. It's how you see yourself, and that's what that tiny planet represents, whereas the universe would be how everyone else sees you. Now, here's another tip. It's important to remember that a lack of confidence, sometimes you just need to fake it until you make it. There's that phrase again. Seriously though, acting confident can end up building up a gradual self-confidence over time. Today I taught you about identity management, specifically perceived versus presenting self, and how it can impact your self-confidence effortlessly. Upon learning about these terms, I appeared more confident rather than worrying about it coming to me. It really impacted my self-perception, and I found that I started feeling more confident internally instead of just acting like it. It started to come a lot more naturally. I felt like my best friend. I felt carefree and expressive. I no longer felt that heavy feeling you get in your chest when You have to ask somebody at the supermarket for directions to the cereal aisle or when you have a class presentation. You'll notice that faking it until you make it can start to become a reality. And you've made it. Thank you. Let me just show you guys that you're all here. Okay.